Nobody ever expects to end up in prison. Especially not me, Sophia Montgomery, the woman whose voice once filled Carnegie Hall to thunderous applause. But here I stand, stripped of my designer gowns and dignity, clutching a standard-issue toiletry kit as iron gates clang shut behind me. Prison grey doesn't complement anyone's complexion, certainly not mine. The guard's eyes flicker with recognition before hardening again. Yes, I'm that Sophia Montgomery, the one whose face was splashed across magazines and newspapers, first for my talent, then for my disgrace. My attorney promised this minimum security facility would be like a strict boarding school. He lied. The warden approaches with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "Welcome to Lakeside Correctional, Ms. Montgomery. Your fame means nothing here." The concrete corridors echo with the sound of 400 women existing in a space designed for 250. My cell, a sterile 8x10 box, contains 2 narrow bunks, a metal toilet without privacy, and a small desk bolted to the wall. My cellmate Elena Vasquez barely acknowledges my presence, sitting cross-legged on her mattress with eyes closed in meditation. When she finally speaks, her voice surprises me with its melodic quality. "Top bunk," she says simply. I arrange my meager belongings in the assigned locker, catching my reflection in the small metal mirror. My carefully maintained appearance has already begun to deteriorate. No makeup, hair pulled back severely, cheekbones too prominent from stress-induced weight loss. The transformation from celebrated soprano to prisoner 8765432 is complete. That first night seems endless. Sleep refuses to come, as unfamiliar sounds assault my senses. Distant crying, guards' boots on concrete, occasional shouts. My mind replays the trial in excruciating detail, the prosecutor's voice condemning me for tax evasion and wire fraud. 3 years for trusting the wrong financial advisor who convinced me to sign documents I never fully understood. My ex-husband hadn't even attended the sentencing. Only my sister Rebecca sat stoically behind me, witnessing my humiliation. When morning finally arrives, announced by harsh fluorescent lights and a jarring bell, Eleanor offers her first complete sentence. "First night's the hardest." These simple words contain unexpected kindness that nearly breaks my carefully maintained composure. Breakfast introduces me to Lakeside's social hierarchy. A tall, muscular woman named Wilson looms over my table. Well, well, if it isn't the famous songbird, guess your fancy trills couldn't keep you out of here? Her intimidation attempt is clear, but I've faced hostile critics and jealous rivals. "I don't want trouble," I say evenly, my voice finding its performance resonance. Wilson leans closer. "That's not up to you, Princess. Everything here has a price." Before she can continue, Elena appears beside us. She's assigned to laundry with me, warden's orders. Wilson hesitates, then backs away, respecting some unspoken boundary. In the laundry room later, Elena offers rare advice. "Keep your head down. First month determines how the rest of your time goes." Her words stay with me through monotonous hours folding prison uniforms. 2 weeks into my sentence, I receive my first visitor. Rebecca arrives looking determined in the visiting room. Her embrace almost breaks my composure. "How are you really?" she asks, scanning my face. "Surviving," I reply honestly. "It's not what I expected." She updates me on my appeal, proceeding slowly, and delivers unwelcome news. Richard filed divorce papers last week. My husband of 8 years couldn't wait even a month before legally separating himself from my disgrace. I absorb this blow silently, another brick in the wall between my past and present. I've brought some things, Rebecca continues, pushing a package across the table. Books, photos, protein bars you like, and letters from fans. This surprises me. I still have fans? That night, examining these letters, I'm overwhelmed by unexpected support. Your voice brought me through my darkest time. We know who you really are. Eleanor watches silently from her bunk as I struggle to comprehend this lifeline. People still care, I whisper. Of course they do, she responds. Your voice gave them something real. A long silence follows before she adds quietly, I heard you once, at the Metropolitan Opera. Carmen. My husband took me for our anniversary. I lean over, trying to see her face in the darkness. You were there. What did you think? Her answer comes after a pause. I thought how God must sound exactly like that. Her unexpected compliment touches something deep within me, creating the first genuine connection I've felt since arriving at Lakeside. That night, I dream of music for the first time since my conviction. Women's voices raised in chaotic but compelling harmony. I wake with an idea forming. What if we started a choir here? I whisper to Eleanor. The suggestion hangs in the air, seemingly absurd in this place of punishment. Elena doesn't answer immediately. Then her voice comes back, thoughtful. Warden Jenkins was a music teacher before corrections, might be persuaded if positioned right. Hope flickers to life in my chest. Will you help me? I ask. People respect you here. Another long pause. Respect is earned, she finally says. Maybe it's time you earned yours instead of hiding behind mine. Her challenge resonates more deeply than any applause I've ever received. Perhaps here, stripped of everything that once defined me, I might finally discover what my voice is truly for. Officer Martinez proves receptive when I approach her during recreation hour. Bach's Cello Suite No. 1 is my favorite piece ever composed, she tells me after I mention my background. I played cello through college. I seize the opportunity. I'd like to start a choir for interested inmates. Studies show music programs reduce violence and improve mental health in correctional settings. Martinez considers thoughtfully. Write up a proposal. 1 page, specific goals, benefits to institutional safety. I'll pass it to Jenkins. As she leaves, she adds, focus on discipline, structure, institutional reputation. That's what moves Jenkins. I thank her earnestly, already composing the proposal in my head. 3 days later, I'm summoned to the warden's office. Jenkins studies me coolly. Interesting proposal, Montgomery. Music program looks good on paper, but I have concerns. First, what's in it for you? The question catches me off guard. Honestly? I respond. I need purpose. Without music, I'm just serving time. With it, I'm using my skills to create something meaningful. Jenkins nods slowly. Second concern, discipline. These women aren't professional musicians. Can you handle frustration without incident? I think of temperamental divas I've worked with throughout my career. I've managed difficult personalities before. I understand the importance of patience and clear boundaries. The warden studies me before nodding. 30 days probationary period. First sign of trouble, it's done. Martinez will supervise. She extends her hand. Don't make me regret this, Montgomery. The recreation hall buzzes with nervous energy for our first meeting. 23 women have signed up, a diverse group spanning ages, backgrounds, and musical experience. Let's start with why we're here, I begin. Not in prison. We all have different reasons for that. But why come to choir today? Silence greets my question until a heavy-set woman raises her hand. My grandmother sang to me as a child. Only good memories I got. Another woman adds, 7 years inside, music makes me feel human again. One by one, they share connections to lost family, forgotten parts of themselves, desire for something beautiful in an ugly place. I listen, perhaps for the first time since my arrival. I won't lie to you, I say, once everyone has spoken. This will be challenging. But if you commit, I promise to treat your voices with respect. Everyone has a voice worth hearing. We begin with simple exercises, assessing natural ranges and abilities. Grace, a 62-year-old woman, demonstrates a rich alto that sends chills down my spine. Church choir for 40 years, she explains with shy pride. By session's end, the atmosphere has transformed from awkward tension to cautious enthusiasm. As they file out, several women thank me with sincerity that touches me more deeply than any standing ovation. Officer Martinez, observing from the doorway, gives me a small smile. Not bad for day one, Montgomery. Same time Thursday? I nod, already planning our next session, feeling more like myself than I have since the handcuffs first closed around my wrists. In this unlikely place, among women society has forgotten, I've found my first glimpse of redemption, not through serving my sentence, but through serving something greater than myself. 6 weeks into our program, Wilson strides into Thursday rehearsal uninvited. Heard you needed altos, she announces, dropping into an empty chair. Martinez moves to intervene, but I catch her eye and shake my head slightly. We can always use good voices, I say evenly. We're working on breath control today. For 30 tense minutes, Wilson participates minimally, making occasional disruptive comments. As we reach the final verse of Amazing Grace, something unexpected happens. Wilson begins to sing properly, her voice a surprisingly powerful alto that fills gaps in our harmony. When we finish, the room falls silent, the sound lingering in the air. Wilson looks momentarily disoriented, as if she's forgotten where she is. Then her familiar scowl returns. Waste of time, she mutters, but without conviction. As she stalks out, Martinez approaches me. That's the first time Wilson's participated in any program in 3 years. That night, Elena and I talk late into the night. Wilson was a foster kid, she explains, bounced through 17 homes before aging out of the system. Music was probably part of church services. Might be triggering memories? I contemplate this, remembering Wilson's momentary transformation. Everyone has a relationship with music, I muse, even if it's complicated. Elena shifts in her bunk below. The Christmas performance is 8 weeks away. Jenkins is bringing the board of directors and local media. This is news to me. Media? No one mentioned publicity. Elena's voice holds a hint of amusement. Of course not. Jenkins wants to surprise you. See if you'll agree to have your face associated with a prison program. It could affect your future bookings if your sentence is commuted. The implication is clear. Being publicly linked to Lakeside could permanently damage what remains of my career. The question haunts me through the night. When I arrived at Lakeside, I viewed my sentence as an interruption, a pause in my real life. The choir was initially just a way to make time pass more meaningfully until I could return to my career. But something has shifted. These women have become more than convenient distraction. Their voices, their stories, their trust matter to me. I've begun to recognize uncomfortable parallels between us. How different is my blind trust in my financial advisor from Teresa's trust in a boyfriend who stored drugs in her apartment? When did I begin seeing them as peers rather than subjects for my redemption project? In the morning, when Eleanor asks if I've decided about the media presence, my answer surprises us both. Let them come. I'm exactly where I need to be right now. Weeks pass, and our choir becomes Lakeside's unexpected bright spot. Women who once avoided each other now collaborate, united by creating something beautiful. During one successful rehearsal, I watch as women from different racial groups and rival factions stand shoulder to shoulder, breathing as one. The harmony they create sends shivers down my spine, not because it's perfect, but because it represents a bridge across seemingly insurmountable divides. Officer Martinez notices too. Never thought I'd see Wilson standing voluntarily next to Rodriguez, she murmurs. Those two nearly killed each other last year. After rehearsal, Grace approaches hesitantly. Some of us were wondering if we could add a spiritual to the program, something that speaks to redemption. This request triggers an avalanche of suggestions. Yasmin wants to incorporate an Arabic lullaby. Teresa suggests a Mexican folk song. Wilson grudgingly proposes a gospel piece. The enthusiasm initially overwhelms me. I had envisioned a simple program of familiar carols. But as I listen to their passionate advocacy for music reflecting their identities, I realize my mistake. This isn't just about creating a polished performance. It's about giving voice to women who have been systematically silenced. That evening, I rework our entire program, creating a multicultural tapestry that honors their diverse backgrounds while maintaining cohesive themes of hope and redemption. When I present it at our next rehearsal, the response is electric. "You actually listen to us," Teresa says with surprise. I wonder how rarely these women have experienced that simple respect. Our Christmas concert plans expand when Warden Jenkins announces, "Board loves the choir concept. They've approved funding for costumes and programs. Local newspaper wants to interview the director and select participants." The journalist, a thoughtful young woman named Maya Kim, asks challenging questions during our interview. "What inspired you to start this program?" she begins. I consider the PR-friendly answer about giving back, but tell her the truth instead. I was drowning in self-pity. The choir started as self-preservation. These women saved me more than I've helped them. Maya's eyebrows rise slightly as she scribbles. That's not the typical rehabilitation narrative. I laugh. Nothing about this has been typical. I came in thinking I'd bring culture to the unfortunate. How condescending. These women have taught me more about resilience and authenticity than 20 years in professional music. The interview continues for an hour, covering everything from technical challenges to personal transformations. Afterward, Maya asks permission to attend rehearsals, sensing a larger story. The choir members establish careful boundaries. Participation in interviews is voluntary, pseudonyms are permitted, and all women have final approval over their quotes. With 3 weeks until the performance, disaster strikes. Grace develops pneumonia and is transferred to the medical unit. Her powerful alto anchors our most challenging pieces, and her absence creates a noticeable void. During our next rehearsal, uncertainty permeates the room. "Should we rearrange the parts?" Yasmin asks. Then Wilson clears her throat. "I could take Grace's solos." The suggestion silences the room. Wilson has been reliable but never volunteered for spotlight moments. "I know her parts," she adds defensively. When she begins Grace's solo from "Steal Away," the room collectively holds its breath. Her voice, raw but powerful, fills the space with unexpected emotion. "Where have you been hiding that voice?" I finally ask. Wilson shrugs, looking almost vulnerable. "Reform school choir, ages 13 to 17. Director said I had potential. Then I aged out of the system." 2 weeks before the performance, Warden Jenkins summons me to her office. Your case has received attention from the Sentencing Review Board, she announces without preamble. New evidence about your financial advisor's pattern of client manipulation. They're considering commutation of your sentence. The news hits me like a physical blow. Commutation? When? Jenkins removes her glasses. Potentially before Christmas. Board meets next week. My mind races chaotically. Freedom, the dream that sustained me through early months, suddenly presented as imminent reality. Yet the timing feels catastrophic. The concert, I begin, would proceed without you if necessary. Jenkins interrupts. Martinez could direct in your absence. The clinical detachment in her voice reminds me of our fundamental relationship. I am an inmate, not faculty. My programs and contributions remain subject to institutional priorities. I leave Jenkins' office in a daze, finding myself in the empty recreation hall. Early release. Everything I wanted when arriving at Lakeside. Why does it now feel like abandonment? I think of our choir members preparing for their moment of recognition. Of Elena, 5 years into a 20-year sentence with no prospect of early freedom. Of Wilson, finally reclaiming her voice after years of silence. Of Grace, fighting pneumonia while worrying about her solo parts. These women have become my community, my responsibility, my purpose. The sound of the door opening interrupts my thoughts. Elena enters, her ability to find me when needed almost supernatural. Jenkins told me, she says simply. Congratulations. The word falls flat between us. I can't leave before the concert, I say. They've worked too hard. Elena studies me carefully. You can request a delayed release date after Christmas. The solution seems obvious once spoken. Would they grant that? Eleanor shrugs. Systems overcrowded. One inmate staying a few extra weeks doesn't matter to them, but it would matter to you. Freedom delayed by choice. That night, I complete my statement to the Sentencing Review Board, requesting that any commutation become effective after December 26th. My time at Lakeside has fundamentally changed my understanding of justice, redemption, and the power of music to bridge seemingly insurmountable divides. The concert represents not just artistic achievement, but human connection across profound differences. I ask the board's indulgence in allowing me to honor this commitment before returning to society. In truth, I have received far more from these women than I have given them. Elena reads it silently, then looks up with rare emotion. You really mean this? It's not a question, but a recognition of transformation neither of us could have predicted when I first entered our shared cell. The board's response arrives Friday afternoon, a single-page letter delivered during rehearsal break. The choir falls silent as I open it, aware of its significance. They've granted my request, I announce. I'll be here through Christmas. Relief floods the room. Grace clasps her hands in silent prayer. Teresa whoops joyfully. Wilson nods once, satisfaction briefly softening her features. Only Eleanor fully understands what this choice represents. A deliberate delay of freedom from internal conviction rather than external compulsion. The day of the Christmas concert arrives with unexpected snowfall that transforms Lakeside's drab exterior. Inside, the recreation hall has been converted into a makeshift auditorium with folding chairs and a small platform stage. Officer Martinez approaches with a clothing bag. Special permission for today only, she explains. Inside, I find my own clothes, a simple black dress and low heels that feel luxuriously formal after months in prison grey. Warden thought it appropriate for the director, Martinez adds. The gesture touches me deeply, acknowledging my dual status as inmate and musician. Backstage, nervous energy spreads through our choir. Yasmin obsessively straightens her tunic. Teresa practices breathing exercises. Wilson paces like a caged tiger, occasionally checking on Grace, who sits conserving her strength after her illness. "Remember why we're here?" I tell them. Not to impress critics, but to share our authentic voices. Every note represents months of hard work and personal growth. At 6 o'clock, the doors open. Jenkins leads officials to the front row. Media representatives position themselves along the walls. I scan the audience, suddenly recognizing a familiar face in the second row. Rebecca, my sister. How did she know? Jenkins must have approved her visit specially. I swallow hard, collecting myself. Good evening, and welcome to the Lakeside Correctional Choir's first annual holiday concert. Tonight's program celebrates diverse backgrounds while exploring universal themes of hope, redemption, and new beginnings. The women file onto the stage with surprising dignity. Wilson stands protectively beside Grace, whose recent illness has left her weakened but determined. I raise my hands, commanding their attention away from the intimidating audience. Our opening piece begins with Elena's solo voice, clear, haunting, and unexpectedly beautiful. One by one, other voices join, creating layers of harmony that fill the room. I watch the audience's expressions shift from polite interest to genuine engagement. The program progresses through increasingly complex arrangements. Teresa's Mexican folk song elicits spontaneous applause. The gospel piece Wilson suggested demonstrates her powerful voice to full advantage. Throughout it all, I remain hyper-aware of each woman's performance. Yasmin's perfect pitch guiding the altos, Teresa's newfound confidence inspiring those around her, Elena's steady presence anchoring uncertain singers. We are far from perfect. Occasional notes waver, harmonies sometimes thin at challenging passages. Yet these imperfections somehow enhance rather than diminish the performance's impact. We're not presenting polished artifice, but authentic human expression. When we reach our multilingual Amazing Grace finale, Grace and Wilson step forward for their duet, their contrasting voices creating something greater than either could achieve alone. As the final notes fade into silence, the room remains completely still for 3 heartbeats before applause erupts. Genuine, enthusiastic appreciation. Board members rise to their feet. Reception follows in the cafeteria, transformed with tablecloths and refreshments. Institutional rules remain in place, but the atmosphere differs dramatically from normal operations. Board members actually converse with choir members instead of observing them clinically. Reporters conduct respectful interviews, focusing on musical achievements rather than criminal histories. Rebecca approaches me. "That was extraordinary," she says simply. "They sounded like professional musicians." I shake my head. "They sounded like themselves." "That's better." As the reception continues, Elena joins us, maintaining proper distance, but clearly wanting to meet my sister. "Your sister created something remarkable here," Elena tells her. "Started with nothing but determination and created a community." Chairman Whitmore, a board member, approaches me next. "Remarkable achievement, Ms. Montgomery. I understand your sentence commutation becomes effective after Christmas." Something in his tone suggests deeper meaning. The board is exploring expanded arts programming across the state system. We might have opportunities for someone with your unique combination of professional credentials and personal insight into the corrections system. Before I can respond, a commotion erupts near the refreshment table. Grace has collapsed, Wilson supporting her weight while calling urgently for medical assistance. Guards immediately secure the area. Visitors are escorted out, and inmates return to their units. I fight against the procedural current, trying to reach Grace. Let me through. I'm her choir director. Officer Martinez intercepts me. Medical team's handling it. Nothing you can do, Montgomery. I watch helplessly as Grace is transferred to a stretcher, oxygen mask obscuring her face. Wilson stands nearby, her tough facade crumbling with concern. As they wheel Grace out, the evening's triumph recedes, replaced by stark reality. A prison where medical emergencies instantly override any illusion of normalcy, where my authority extends only as far as institutional permission allows. Martinez reads my expression accurately. Don't let this overshadow what you accomplished tonight. I'll send word when there's news. Our cell block remains eerily quiet that night, everyone waiting for news about Grace. Elena sits cross-legged on her bunk in meditation. I pace our small cell, unable to settle. She pushed herself too hard. I murmur, guilt gnawing at me. I should have modified her parts more. Eleanor opens her eyes. Grace is 62 years old and has survived worse than a choir performance. Stop taking responsibility for everything. Her bluntness stops me. The concert was successful. Everyone saw what these women are capable of. What happens next matters more than one perfect night. Officer Martinez appears at our cell door shortly before midnight. Grace is stabilized. Respiratory distress exacerbated by exertion. They're keeping her in medical for observation. She's asking for you tomorrow morning, if Jenkins approves. Relief washes through me. After she leaves, Elena and I sit in companionable silence. Chairman Whitmore mentioned expanded arts programming, I finally say. Suggested there might be a professional role for someone with my background. Elena raises an eyebrow. Paid position developing music programs across the state system. Morning brings approval for my visit to the medical unit. I find Grace propped up in bed, looking frail but alert, supplemental oxygen tubing looped behind her ears. Sorry for causing drama, she says weakly. Upstaged the whole program. I take the chair beside her bed. You were magnificent. The duet with Wilson brought people to tears. Grace's expression turns serious. That girl has such a voice. Natural talent I'd kill for. She pauses. Wrong choice of words in here, I suppose. We share a small laugh. Wilson visits hourly, Grace continues. Brings me contraband pudding cups. Who would have thought? I marvel at this unlikely friendship, the oldest and most feared women in our choir supporting each other. Doctor says I'll be back in general population next week, just in time to see you go. The reminder of my impending release sits heavy between us. I've requested permission to return weekly as a volunteer, I tell her, to continue the choir. Grace nods, unsurprised. Figured you might. You found something real here, didn't you? The day of my release dawns with winter sunlight streaming through the small cell window. My few possessions fit in a standard-issue paper bag. Books, photos, the choir program I'll keep forever. Elena watches me prepare. What will you miss? She asks directly. I consider giving a safe answer, but honesty prevails. The women, the choir, this strange community where status and wealth mean nothing. And you, Eleanor. She nods, accepting this without sentimentality. You'll be back on Friday. It's not goodbye. The final security gate opens, and suddenly I'm standing in the visitors' parking lot, unconfined for the first time in nearly a year. Rebecca waits beside her car. We embrace wordlessly, the magnitude of the moment beyond casual conversation. Where to first? She asks gently. I look back at Lakeside Correctional, its institutional facade revealing nothing of the complex humanity within. A quiet place to think, I decide. I have career plans to reconsider. 5 days later, Chairman Whitmore calls with a formal job offer, developing arts programming across state correctional facilities. My agent simultaneously pushes for a return to performance. Standing at this crossroads between my past and a newly discovered purpose, I make my choice. Freedom isn't just about leaving prison walls behind, but about finding your authentic voice and using it where it matters most. My first return to Lakeside as volunteer choir director creates strange cognitive dissonance. The security process, familiar yet now experienced from the visitor's perspective, feels surreal. Officer Martinez meets me at the checkpoint. "They've been practicing all week," she informs me, leading me through corridors that somehow look different from this side of confinement. The recreation hall doors open to reveal 42 women arranged in choir formation, our original members, plus 4 new recruits. Elena stands at the front, leading warm-up exercises with surprising authority. She steps aside immediately when I enter, returning to her place in the soprano section. "Ms. Montgomery," she announces formally, respecting our new relationship dynamic. "We've been working on the new piece you sent." I place my bag on the piano bench, removing sheet music for the Freedom Song arrangement I've created specifically for them. Grace, fully recovered and radiating determination, steps forward. "We have something for you first." At her signal, the women form a semicircle. Wilson produces a folder decorated with careful calligraphy. "For our director." Inside, I find an original composition, created collectively during my absence. A simple but moving piece expressing gratitude and connection. "Eleanor helped with the notation," Grace explains. "Everyone contributed a line." I study the handwritten score, recognizing different penmanships representing individual contributions. The gesture touches me deeply. These women creating music independently, finding their collective voice even without my guidance. "May I hear it?" I ask, struggling to maintain professional composure. They perform with evident pride, the harmony occasionally wavering, but the emotional intent unmistakably powerful. When they finish, I find myself speechless momentarily. "This is extraordinary," I finally manage. Wilson shrugs with feigned casualness. "Figured if we're going to keep this choir going, we should create our own music too." The 2-hour session passes with remarkable productivity. Their progress during my absence reveals Elena's effective leadership and their genuine commitment. Before concluding, I share exciting news. Warden Jenkins has approved monthly performances throughout the coming year, public events with invited audiences. The announcement generates immediate enthusiasm and creative planning. As they file out at session's end, Elena lingers behind, awaiting her escort back to the cell block. "Chairman Whitmore called yesterday," she informs me. "Requested a conference call with both of us next week. Something about program expansion. Apparently my unique insight is valuable." The irony doesn't escape either of us. Her incarceration simultaneously qualifying and disqualifying her for professional recognition. "Will you do it?" I ask. Her response is immediate. "Of course. Any opportunity to strengthen this program is worth pursuing." The meeting with Whitmore exceeds my expectations. His vision for expanded arts programming across the state correctional system includes substantial funding, administrative support, and unprecedented autonomy for qualified instructors. "Your Lakeside model demonstrates measurable positive outcomes," he explains, reviewing statistics on disciplinary incidents and behavioral improvements. Most surprising is his inclusion of Elena in program development via telephone consultation. "Inmate perspective is essential for effective implementation," he acknowledges. At home that evening, I begin drafting comprehensive curriculum plans, incorporating lessons from Lakeside, cultural inclusivity, techniques for engaging untrained voices, approaches to building community through shared creative expression. My agent calls repeatedly, increasingly frustrated by my delayed response to performance opportunities. When I finally answer, her reaction to my new career direction is predictably dramatic. Prison choir director? Are you serious? That's throwing away everything we've built. I'm not abandoning performance entirely, I explain patiently, but this work matters in ways my previous career never did. She remains skeptical, warning about career trajectory and public perception. After we disconnect, Rebecca finds me staring at the silent phone. Tough conversation? She asks. She thinks I'm making a terrible mistake, wasting my talent. Rebecca considers this thoughtfully. Are her concerns about your welfare or her commission? The question makes me laugh, despite my uncertainty. When you performed at Carnegie Hall, you were brilliant but isolated, Rebecca observes. At Lakeside, you created something collaborative and transformative. Which felt more meaningful? The question crystallizes my internal debate. Lakeside, without question. Rebecca nods, satisfied. There's your answer. The next morning, I call Whitmore to formally accept the position. Excellent decision, he responds. We'll start with program development at 3 facilities, expanding to 7 within the year, if successful. 3 months into my new role as State Arts Program Director, an extraordinary opportunity arrives. The National Correctional Arts Network selects our Lakeside Choir for their annual conference showcase. The invitation includes permission for 6 inmates to perform at the conference center under supervised conditions. After careful consideration, I select Elena, Grace, Wilson, and 3 others representing different vocal sections. Preparation intensifies as performance day approaches. Throughout the process, my formerly incarcerated perspective proves invaluable, anticipating institutional concerns while advocating for the women's dignity. Conference day arrives with perfect early spring weather. The 6 selected women arrive in transport vehicles, wearing their blue tunics with new matching scarves. As we wait backstage, I sense Elena's controlled tension. First time performing outside Lakeside in 6 years, she murmurs. Wilson adjusts Grace's scarf with surprising gentleness. You all right for this? Grace nods determinedly. Wouldn't miss it. We take the stage before an audience of corrections administrators, policymakers, and program directors. The Lakeside Correctional Choir began as an experiment in rehabilitation through creative expression, I explain, introducing each performer individually. Today, they demonstrate the transformative power of arts programming in correctional settings. Our carefully selected program opens with Wilson's powerful solo transitioning into full ensemble, immediately capturing attention. These women, performing with dignity and skill, challenge preconceptions about incarcerated individuals more effectively than any academic presentation could. We conclude with their collective composition, Finding Voice. Its simple but profound message resonating throughout the conference hall. The standing ovation that follows feels like validation of everything we've built together. During the drive back to Lakeside, Elena breaks her typical reserve. Did you see their faces during Wilson's solo? Complete shock. Wilson attempts to maintain her tough facade, but pride breaks through. Told you I could hit that high note under pressure. 6 months into our expanded program, Maya's comprehensive profile appears in a national magazine. Voices Beyond Walls. Transforming Lives Through Prison Arts. Programming features our initiative now operating in 7 facilities statewide. The article traces my journey from reluctant inmate to passionate advocate, highlighting the program's measurable impact on institutional culture and individual lives. Most meaningful is Elena's perspective. Montgomery arrived expecting to serve time in isolation. Instead, she found community and purpose. Her willingness to see beyond our offenses to our humanity created something revolutionary. Reading these words in my office at the Department of Corrections headquarters, I'm struck by how completely my life has transformed. My desk overflows with curriculum plans, performance schedules, and grant applications. My calendar balances facility visits with occasional return to the concert stage, benefit performances, raising funds, and awareness for arts in corrections. Elena's parole hearing occurs 18 months after my release. As character witness, I testify to her exceptional leadership, mentorship of younger inmates, and instrumental role in program development. 2 weeks later, Elena calls with the news: parole granted, effective in 30 days. They're offering transitional housing near headquarters, she tells me, emotion finally breaking through her habitual reserve. And Whitmore mentioned potential employment with the program after release. The possibility of working together professionally, something that seemed impossible during our time as cellmates, now becomes tangible future. The transition proves challenging despite careful preparation. Elena struggles with overwhelming freedom after 6 years of rigid structure. Too many choices, she confesses during our weekly check-in. What to eat, what to wear. It's exhausting. I recognize the sensation from my own release experience. It gets easier, I assure her. The important thing is you have purpose from day one. Wilson receives parole 2 years later, transitioning directly into our instructor training program. Her natural authority and personal transformation make her particularly effective with resistant participants. I was you, she tells new choir members bluntly. Thought this was worthless. Now I'm out, employed, and teaching this program because it actually works. Grace remains at Lakeside, her 20-year sentence for defending herself against an abusive husband, a stark reminder of justice system inequities. She becomes our senior choir leader, mentoring new members and composing original pieces. During one visit, she shows me a notification. Her case has been accepted for review by an Innocence project focusing on domestic violence survivors. Maybe someday I'll join your instructor team too, she says cautiously. We'll hold your position, I promise. Looking back on this improbable journey 5 years after my incarceration, I marvel at how completely my understanding of success has transformed. The prison choir began as desperate self-preservation, but evolved into the most meaningful work of my career. In helping others find their voices, I finally found my own. 5 years to the day after my release, I stand in a dressing room at the Kennedy Center, adjusting my concert attire and reflecting on the journey that brought me here. Tonight's performance represents the culmination of everything we've built, a combined choir of 70 voices from 7 facilities, plus 15 formerly incarcerated individuals now serving as assistant directors. Elena reviews the program nearby, her position as associate director earned through extraordinary dedication. Wilson coaches nervous performers with surprisingly gentle encouragement. Grace joins us through special permission, her case review proceeding slowly but with promise. A production assistant knocks. 10 minutes to places, Ms. Montgomery. I gather our performers for final instructions. Remember what we've practiced, but more importantly, remember why we're here. This isn't about perfect technique. It's about authentic expression. Every person in that audience needs to hear what you have to say through your music. The performance begins with a traditional spiritual arranged for our unique vocal blend. From the conductor's position, I watch audience reactions shift from polite curiosity to genuine engagement as our choir's power becomes evident. Their faces register surprise when Wilson steps forward for her solo, her formidable presence and extraordinary voice defying stereotypes about incarcerated individuals. Grace's featured section brings several audience members to tears. The program progresses through increasingly complex pieces, culminating in an original composition created collectively by participants across all facilities. This final piece, Beyond Walls, represents our core philosophy. That authentic expression transcends physical and societal barriers. As the last notes resound through the prestigious venue, silence holds for 3 heartbeats before thunderous applause erupts. The standing ovation continues as I invite Elena, Wilson, and Grace to join me at the front of the stage, acknowledging their essential contributions. The reception attracts unexpected attention. Justice Department officials request meetings to discuss program expansion. Foundation representatives express interest in funding nationwide implementation. Media outlets seek interviews about our approach. Amidst this professional triumph, my attention remains focused on our performers, ensuring they receive appropriate recognition for their artistry rather than being treated as rehabilitation curiosities. Elena navigates these interactions with diplomatic skill, her inherent dignity commanding respect despite her background. Wilson handles press questions with surprising patience, explaining how musical expression provided her first non-destructive emotional outlet. Grace speaks eloquently about music's healing properties within correctional environments. Together, they present a powerful testament to human potential beyond criminal records. Rebecca approaches with champagne flutes, passing them to our small leadership circle. "To voices found," she toasts simply, capturing our shared journey in 3 perfect words. Following this success, our program expands with unprecedented support. 3 major foundations provide substantial grants for implementation across 15 additional states. The Justice Department establishes a dedicated Arts in Corrections division, with Elena appointed as senior advisor. Wilson receives certification as a vocal instructor, launching a specialized program for juvenile offenders. Most personally meaningful, Grace's case review advances to formal reconsideration, with genuine possibility of sentence commutation. These professional achievements emerge from the foundation established at Lakeside, the recognition that artistic expression offers pathways to rehabilitation unavailable through traditional programming. Each week, regardless of administrative responsibilities, I continue leading choir sessions at various facilities, maintaining direct connection with the program's core purpose. During one such session, a participant asks a question that resonates deeply. "Did you choose this work, or did it choose you?" The question follows me home, prompting reflection on how completely my life changed through circumstances I once considered catastrophic. My conviction, initially viewed as career-destroying humiliation, ultimately redirected me toward more meaningful contribution than I'd ever achieved through professional success. My agent calls while I'm contemplating this, interrupting with practical matters. "The Metropolitan Opera is offering a special engagement," she announces excitedly. 3 performances of Carmen. They're marketing it as your triumphant return. The offer represents everything I once desired: vindication, artistic recognition, return to prestigious venues. Yet my immediate reaction surprises us both. "I need to check the program schedule first," I respond. "We have 3 facility performances that month and curriculum development for the national expansion." Her exasperated sigh carries clearly through the phone. "Sophia, it's the Met. Surely your prison choirs can wait." Her dismissive characterization crystallizes my priorities with perfect clarity. I ultimately accept the Met engagement, but with unconventional conditions reflecting my transformed priorities. Half the performance proceeds will fund arts programming in correctional facilities. The program will include information about our initiative and its impact. Most significantly, the final night will feature special guests, a chamber choir of formerly incarcerated program graduates, including Elena and Wilson, performing an original composition before the main production. The Met initially resists these conditions before recognizing their publicity value. The performances sell out immediately, attracting traditional opera patrons alongside social justice advocates, corrections professionals, and program supporters. Standing once again on that prestigious stage where my career began, I experience profound perspective shift. The applause feels different, less personal validation, more appreciation for the artistic expression itself. During the curtain call, I invite Elena and Wilson to join me center stage. Our unlikely journey from Cell Block D to the Metropolitan Opera complete. 7 years after my release, Grace finally receives news we've anticipated since her case review began. The governor has commuted her sentence, acknowledging the injustice of imprisoning a domestic violence survivor for defending herself. I drive personally to Lakeside for her release, remembering my own overwhelming transition to freedom. As she walks through the final security gate, a small group awaits. Eleanor, Wilson, and several choir members released in recent years. Grace moves slowly, disoriented by sudden liberty after 9 years of confinement. "Welcome to the faculty," Elena tells her, presenting an official program badge. "Your position as community choir director starts whenever you're ready." Grace stares at the identification card, fingers tracing her name and title with wonder. "Never imagined this ending," she says softly. Wilson places a supportive hand on her shoulder. "Not an ending," she corrects. "A beginning." The 10th anniversary of the Lakeside Choir brings publication of my memoir, Finding Voice, From Opera to Incarceration and Beyond. The book chronicles our program's evolution alongside my personal transformation, examining how artistic expression creates pathways for rehabilitation and human connection across profound divides. The publication coincides with a milestone achievement: formal adoption of arts programming as standard practice across the federal prison system, with our model serving as implemented template. At the anniversary concert, I survey our expanded community with profound gratitude. Hundreds of current and former participants, program instructors, institutional partners, and supporters filling the Kennedy Center. The combined choir features representatives from 32 facilities nationwide, alongside dozens of released graduates now living productive lives. That evening, our original leadership team gathers privately: Eleanor, Wilson, Grace, and myself. 10 years of collaboration have transformed us from inmates sharing confinement to colleagues sharing purpose. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when you proposed that first choir?" Grace asks. I shake my head, remembering the desperate woman seeking mere distraction from her sentence. "I was just trying to survive," I admit. "Using music as escape, not connection." Elena raises her glass. Yet here we are, hundreds of lives changed, including our own. Wilson adds her characteristically direct perspective. "Turns out giving people voice helps them find their way." Who knew? We share knowing laughter, united by our journey from voicelessness to empowerment. Returning home after the celebration, I sit surrounded by evidence of unexpected life direction: curriculum materials, performance recordings, research documenting our program's impact, awards recognizing our contribution to rehabilitation innovation. My original conviction: once perceived as catastrophic failure, ultimately redirected me toward purpose I never would have discovered voluntarily. Sometimes the most beautiful music emerges from the most unexpected places.